New at 10, hundreds of inmates set to be released early from prisons across Alabama tomorrow will remain locked up. Now, this comes after State Attorney General Steve Marshall filed a motion for a temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction, which a judge granted today. Wait 31's Brittany Harry is live in studio tonight with the latest on the lawsuit and why it was filed. Brittany.
Well, Dan and Nikel, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall says not all of the victims or family members of the victims were notified about the early release. The lawsuit is against the Alabama Department of Corrections and the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles for failing to notify. According to the complaint, Marshall filed more than half of the inmates set to be released committed violent crimes. The AG's office says as of Friday they were notified. The ADOC has contact information for fewer than 20 victims.
Nearly 400 inmates were scheduled to be released from Alabama prisons tomorrow. Now that's been put on hold because, according to a lawsuit filed by Attorney General Steve Marshall, not giving victims prior notice won't allow them to, quote, take steps to prevent themselves or their loved ones from any potential re-victimization. The inmates were scheduled to be released under a law created in 2015 and modified in 2021. It provides mandatory pre-release supervision by the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles for some inmates across the state.
It's basically people who are anywhere from, what I understand, from 2 months from being released to 10 months being released. Then they would qualify to be released earlier to have supervision.
I spoke to Cam Ward with the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles about the early release before discovering the lawsuit. The inmates are serving time from everything from property crimes to more violent crimes like manslaughter and murder. Inmates facing life in prison and convicted sex offenders are ineligible for early release. The thought of early release concerning for some law enforcement.
We put ourselves in the victim's shoes. We'd hate to be going down the aisle of the grocery store and then all of a sudden this person I thought was in prison is now in the same store. You know, that's a terrible situation. So not that we have a large role in this, but we are going through to see, you know, what are the cases, who are the offenders, and, you know, seeing if we need to notify the victim just so they're aware.
And there was an emergency hearing today that was held on Marshall's motion. A judge ruled inmates can't be released until the ADOC has provided sufficient notice to the victim or victim's family as required. Reporting live in studio, Brittany Harry, Way 31 News.